1 in 4 species around the world is facing extinction right now. Now, one of these species is this beetle that you see in the screen right now. The reason this beetle is in danger is because this beetle only lives in some caves in the country of Slovenia. And in these caves, there are lots of traps and lots of things that are put in place by poachers to capture this beetle. These poachers capture this beetle illegally, and then on black market they can be sold from anywhere from up to 1000 euros to almost 2000 euros. Now, why is this beetle so special? I mean, just looking at it, it's a pretty ugly beetle. It doesn't have any beautiful coloring, it doesn't produce any useful substance, it's not used in any medicines or anything. So why is this beetle so costly? The reason lies in its name. Its scientific name is Anaphthalmos hitleri. Hitler as in Adolf Hitler, and Anaphthalmos as in it doesn't have any eyes. It's a blind beetle because it lives in caves. The beetle was discovered in 1933. The biologist who discovered it named it after Hitler to celebrate the third reach of his Führer. Right now, the word Hitler is synonymous with evil, but among neo-Nazis, this beetle is a valuable keepsake. I mean, there are species around the world which are hunted to extinction because of its fur, because of its horns, or because of its tusks. But this beetle is undergoing extinction because it had the misfortune of having this name. So the obvious question is, why not just change this? Why not just change this name? But there's a long, complicated, and political process behind the process of naming each species. The process of naming a species is called taxonomy. Now, Carl Linnaeus is called the father of taxonomy because he was the first person to put forward a scientific method for naming each and every species that are found around the world. Carl Linnaeus' method of classification was simple. He gave two names for each species. For us humans, the name is Homo sapiens. For that monkey over there, the name is Macaca fascicularis. The first name refers to the generic name, and the second name refers to the species name. A group of related species will be grouped into one genre. A lot of scientists around the world disagreed with Carl Linnaeus' method of classification. The main problem was that Carl Linnaeus used the sexually reproducing characters of flowers and plants as a major factor in classifying them. And in those times of 18th century, that was not that accessible. One scientist was so against Carl Linnaeus' method of classification that he took revenge on him by naming a species of smelly weed after him. Linnaeus didn't stop with animals that actually exist in this world. He even went on and named things like Hydra, the Phoenix, or other mythological creatures. Another example of a confusing scientific name is when I went to the Custicone Museum in Canberra, I saw a really colorful specimen of a beetle. The beetle's name was Setonia aurata. The name was given by Carl Linnaeus. Carl Linnaeus named it aurata because of its golden color. But as you can obviously see, it's green in color. This is not the only time when Carl Linnaeus has named a species based on its wrong color. So some critics and historians actually think that he was actually colorblind. So Carl Linnaeus did a lot of shenanigans when it came to naming plants and animals. But right now, who gets to decide whether to approve or disapprove of a name? There's a small committee formed by scientists across the world which gets to decide this. It's a tough task, mainly because every 30 minutes, somewhere around the world, a new species is named and discovered. So these guys in this committee have to decide on naming almost 18,000 different species names every year. Plant species are named according to the International Code for Botanical Nomenclature, and animal species are named according to the International Code for Zoological Nomenclature. Now, there are lots of rules in these about how to name a species. One of these rules is that the names must be in Latin, or if you are taking the name from another language, they must be Latinized as to fit the rules. Now, another rule is that when you write or type the name of these species, they must be italicized. Now, another rule is that usually the first person to describe the species in a reputed scientific journal is the one who gets to name the species. So usually biologists who discover these species uses the opportunity to name it after someone they admire. There are over 300 species which are named after Charles Darwin. There's an entire Wikipedia list that's full of species that are named after Richard Attenborough. There's a fern named after Lady Gaga. There's a millipede after Taylor Swift, a lichen after Barack Obama. The list goes on and on. Somewhere here in the Australian outback, there's a housefly named after Beyonce. Things get even more complicated when you realize that if you are a scientist who has discovered a species, then you can auction the right to name the species to someone else. In 2005, a company bid almost $650,000 to name a monkey in Bolivia. The monkey was then named Calicebus oripalati. Oripalati is Latin for golden palace. The winning bid was placed by an internet casino named goldenpalace.com. Let's take a look at this study which was done by the London Zoo. So scientists there showed pictures of animals to visitors first without telling them the animals' names. Then the scientists asked them how much these people would be willing to donate to save the species from extinction. After that, the scientists showed the pictures of these species to different visitors and then asked them how much they'd spent. But this time, they also informed the people what the name of these species were. And that made such a big difference. Most people were not willing to spend any money on the strawberry poison frog. But when you change the name to Princess Diana monkey or Princess Diana frog, then people began to donate money in huge amounts. And that's one of the biggest arguments in giving species fancy names. No one is willing to donate money to save an insect compared to a giant panda, even though the insect might be more important to the ecosystem than the panda. But if you give the insect a fancy name, then suddenly its popular appeal will skyrocket and people will be willing to donate money to it. Such insects can then serve as poster childs, bringing in more money to conservation. Now, this monkey doesn't care what its name is, but $650,000 can save a lot of monkeys. Giving it a fancy name brings attention, and attention is the first step towards protection. Now, in the book Project Hail Mary, there's a line that says, "We humans spend a lot of time trying to name things." And that's true. We name stars, storms, mountains, planets, and every living thing we can find. But maybe the reason we spend so much time naming things isn't just to organize the world. Maybe it's because most of us decide what matters by what its name is. Thanks for watching.